Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. I hope you're all doing okay. I'm here with Q, and we are going to look at the three winning hackathon projects from last month's hackathon. So we're pretty excited about that. It was um, it was fun. It was the first hackathon we hosted, so it was a little bit all over the place in terms of how to best support you, how to we met some of you through our gather space. That was really nice. We got a lot of cool submissions, a lot of fun ones as well. So yeah, excited to show you this. How are you doing, Q?
Nice. I'm pretty happy to see what they've done. Because honestly, I've seen some of them and I was like, I didn't even know that was possible on WeWeb, so that was cool to see.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And if you're in the chat, don't hesitate to say hi. If you have questions, hey Wes, if you wanna join us live, actually, if you wanna join us in the stream, I sent you a link. If you wanna join us, you can share your screen and yeah, because we don't have the Zano side of thing. Wes built a really cool tool. We'll show you in a few minutes using so we can show you the WeWeb side of things, but we thought it'd be cool if Wes could join. Not sure
So
if you'll be
spoiler
able to,
alert,
but if you
Wes
can.
won. That
Wes won. Yeah. Wes won the category. So we have three winners. We have the most fun category, we have the most technically challenging, and we have the most visually pleasing. And in the most technically challenging category, there are actually two winners, including Wes. And the reason we have two winners is that one winner, it was very technically challenging, but he used quite a bit of JS, of JavaScript. So I thought it would be cool as well. We thought it'd be cool as well to have a winner that focused, that 100% no code, to be kind of in line with what we do at WeWeb. And it makes, I think, based on our tool, it makes sense that we have those two winners, because actually you can do everything in no code in WeWeb, but also if you want to code, you can. So I thought it was kind of cool to see that in the hackathon projects as well.
nice. So which one should
Should
we
we?
begin with?
I think we'll start with the most fun.
Most fun?
So that would
Okay.
be the little checks.
So let me share my screen.
And
Okay.
hey, Wes, I see you in the stream, so I'll add Wes's face here. I don't know. It's
It's
too,
like,
too,
what?
too
I'm
many
live already?
You can
surprises.
see me?
What's
Oh,
what's every?
oh, wow, cool.
Hey, you're here. You're in the stream now. If you want, I'll So this is Wes. Wes won the most technically challenging, and we'll show you the project in a little bit. If you want, I'll
Oh,
hide your
let
I'll
me
hide your
pause
face.
the regular
I'll hide your
stream.
face for now. So I can't,
Nice.
now that I hid your face, so we can't hear you anymore. But what Wes will do is later he'll show us how he set things up in Zano and WeWeb. And yeah, I was telling QQ hasn't seen the full project yet. I was telling him it's really fun. I would never have had that idea, so I'm excited to show it to you as well. You want to share your screen, Q?
Okay. Yeah. Let me switch. Okay, zoom a little and show my cursor. So, apparently this one is a game. Am I right?
Yes.
Um,
Hi,
so, yeah. Do you want to describe it while I'm playing it, or should I just
sure. Let
go
me.
in the game
So
and try to
first of
win?
all, try to win. So this is a project that was built by Hyde. Hyde is based near Tokyo in Japan, and he built this. It's almost all no code. There's just a little bit of JavaScript, and we'll show you where. So basically, what you do is you sign in with your Twitter account,
Yep.
and we'll show you afterwards how he did that. Hey Joel, good to see you. Richard, love to watch, but unfortunately I have an appointment starting in 5 minutes. Hopefully I can catch up afterwards on YouTube. Absolutely, the replay will be there. And I'll also show all the comments because we have people on Twitch and
Yeah.
YouTube. So Joel is saying congrats to
Hey,
Wes.
everybody.
So I was saying Hyde is based in Japan, and it was really cool. During the hackathon, we opened our GatherTown virtual offices, so we got to meet Hyde. It was really fun. And yeah, if you want to start playing, go for
I
it.
removed my cursor because it's like blocking me. So I have to click on this. But I don't have to eat the bears and the chickens.
And the
Am I right?
chickens, yeah, exactly.
Oh,
And the ones where you get most point is when the chick is outside of the egg. So
nice. That's so cool.
yeah.
Actually, I have
we,
issues with my mouse right now. Like, since we went to the offsite, my mouse is almost broken. So I'm like, what?
No, you're doing okay.
795. So here. Oh, I'm the last one. Okay.
Actually, let me share the. I'll share the link in the chat. Maybe you can go to the WeWeb editor to show how it was built.
Yeah, sure. So this is here. I will zoom also and no, use my cursor. Okay. Okay, so sign in.
Wes is asking how the heck was this made with WeWeb? And to be honest, it's exactly what I asked myself when I saw this.
Yeah, we were kind of triggered. Yeah, during the offsite, so we went to see how he's done it, and basically you will see it, but it's an array of arrays, so kind of a matrix, like you would code any like these games using code basically. Because back in the days, I used to code like some tic-tac-toe, this kind of stuff in Python. It's exactly the same thing in no code, so it will be really interesting to see. But first thing is the login, so it makes you go to sign in.
Supabase, social.
Supabase.
I know it seems like.
Let me check.
It's Zano.
And submit. Sign
I thought
in.
it was.
There's nothing.
I think he had another second page.
Ah, okay. So continue. Nope.
Yes, he made the apps. Well, if you just arrived on the stream, you actually won the most fun category. And by the way, all of you who submitted WeWeb projects, we're sending you WeWeb swag. So if you haven't received my email already, it's coming soon. But I think I've sent it to everyone, asking for your address and hoodie size. Okay, so it is Supabase.
Nice. Yeah, it's Supabase for the login. Then it makes you go to catch the chick, I imagine.
Oh yeah, I remember because I spoke to Hyde, and actually I think he had started with Zano, but he wanted to switch to Supabase afterwards, so he tried Supabase. And actually, we had a couple of we had another hackathon participant who had the same logic.
So just reloading. I don't know why the sign-in was like stuck. So then you've got the top scores. They're coming from high score per user data. So I imagine it's a collection. Yep. So REST API from Supabase. Actually, surprised why you didn't use the Supabase plugin, but yeah, that works too. So we won't show the API key, hopefully. And then
actually, that's a good point. Maybe Hyde, if in the chat, is there a reason you didn't use the Supabase plugin? And Baudouin is asking what made you switch to Supabase from Zano as well, if you want to answer in the chat. And Hedy is asking the same question. And okay, so Hyde used it the first time. The user I spoke to who switched from Zano to Supabase, the reason was the Zano interface. So he preferred the Supabase interface. He found it more intuitive. I think that's really a matter of personal preference. We have a lot of users who prefer Zano by far, and some users who prefer Supabase by far. Usually, it's not always the case, but very often people who prefer the Supabase interface have a more techie background, and they don't like. They prefer Supabase because Xano has another layer of abstraction that kind of messes with their development flow. Yeah, and so Hyde is saying he's familiar with SQL, and Xano's workflow is too complex, in his opinion. So
I'm not managing to sign in with Twitter in the editor. So I'm wondering where's the game in the app so that we can see it, because yeah, it's redirecting me to the
you were
dashboard.
okay.
Yeah, because like I think the login is set up for the production website, not the editor. That's why.
Okay. So the cat. If you go on the page, catch the chick. Maybe is there can you change maybe the auth variable or the main in field section you had a no, we can't change.
I can change this variable. It comes from the plugin, but maybe there's a way to trigger it. Is Twitter authenticated true? Is start true? No, okay. Next.
So is start false? Maybe.
Start false. Yeah. Because I imagine it's in this page also.
We saw it last week, yeah. Oh, trigger is start true. Hyde is saying trigger is start true.
Yeah.
And then I guess next you have a workflow. Oh no.
Nope.
Oh, and set time is 3000 milliseconds.
Set time. Where's this? Don't find it. Set time.
Hyde is coming to help you.
Nice.
So in WeWeb you can collaborate on the on the page, which is useful in what Hyde is doing right now.
Yeah, because I have other time variables, but I don't have set time.
Time left.
Time left. Okay.
3000.
Okay. I think I'm lacking something. Is start? Yeah, I think. No?
Start true.
Okay, that's nice. We're getting there, hopefully. So we've got an empty list. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I remember it was done. So it's like
30,000 milliseconds. Okay. Sorry.
Time. Okay, so one more. Yeah, but I need to have something in this variable. This variable is still empty. So I think we're lacking a workflow that populates this variable, no?
Yeah. And if you go...
Yeah, no, because field array is empty.
It's weird because we managed to see it inside the editor last week.
Yeah, but I think the login was set up to redirect on the dashboard, and now because it's in prod, it's set up to redirect on the domain.
Because it was already in production. Can you go inside the in the navigator?
Yeah.
See, so that's the field, and there we have. And what's that workflow?
Maybe the workflow is on the page now. Nope.
There was a workflow on char, on the character thing. What does this one do?
It's that's interesting to know which one you hit, basically. So and unzoom, but basically it's computing your score according to what you hit. So nice. I think it's like you still have time in the game, That's item data hit. I don't know what this is, but this is here. And then I imagine this is for like, yeah, okay, the type of character you hit. Because like I imagine it's done it like the way when this is a chicken or like a bear, it's a different character you're actually eating. And it's bind to a character, but like the CSS makes you, like it's replacing it by an image, if I'm not mistaken. And then it changes the score, basically. And also some custom JavaScript. Okay. I don't know what this is about, but... And this is the transform translate. Actually, it's really interesting. It's the way to do like the small animations on the matrix. Is like, it's making things translate every... I don't remember if it's like 1 or 2 seconds or yeah, something like this. And so it's making the every element move. So yeah. And basically, I think this field, because we've seen it, this field array is getting populated and changes every second. And it's like an array of 3 arrays. It's matrix, what you would do when coding. Like you have the first line, the second one, and the third one, and you populate each of them. And then you can like navigate and know where the user clicked or like bind to it, because you've got an array which is X and like the index in the array which is Y. So you've got your like map basically. See workflow start game. Okay, so workflow game. Let's test it. Okay, so if start is true, change variable value, score, time left. Okay, setting the field array actually. Start game is a custom JavaScript with the, like it randomizes everything, it's translating everything with CSS and a timer ID. So we'll just execute this and we've got the game. Nice. So you see the field items, they're changing every second. So I can't even show them because they are changing. And like it's recomputing the field array every time. And this is bound to the character. It's really cool. Okay, and actually like the hit variable is to know if you clicked on it, it will replace it by stars or like explosion. So it's actually really smart. That's a nice computing knowledge. Because this is basically algorithmic. Yeah. But what's cool is that most of it was done with no code, and we only have like JavaScript for translating and randomizing stuff. And we have plans to port this, everything like you see here in code will be available in no code in the future. So pretty cool.
Yeah, maybe you can show I think most people on the stream know WeWeb quite well, but if you want to just show the no-code formulas to explain where, so for example, the randomize function, we'll probably add it in no code, ways to randomize.
So start game is here. I think it was randomized here. So these are the variables. This is the interval.
And so the variables, for example, are WeWeb variables.
Yeah.
The ID. So right now it's custom JS, but actually if you go maybe to the no code formula tab, just to show. No, I mean you can stay in the inspector, but it's just to show the array formulas. We've been.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just to show that. Yeah, we continually add to those. So actually, all those no code formulas are actually. They're JavaScript. So anything that right now Hyde wrote in JavaScript, in the future, as we add no code formulas, you'll have more and more. I'm looking, for example, the floor function that he used on line 9.
Yeah.
That's something we'll probably add in the future.
Yeah, we could add it. Like it's really easy to add. And the cool thing also is like when you're using formulas, basically they are JavaScript. So if you need to use only some small JavaScript, what you could use also is like, it's just an example. I will remove it, no worries, but you could do like mat.floor like this. And this would actually be like valid because this is behind the scene, the variables, all no code formula. These, for example, they are like JavaScript that's being translated only visually for you, but it's JavaScript, so you can really mix everything.
And Hyde is saying he uses JavaScript for behavior of the chicks or bears.
Oh, nice. So yeah, lots of JavaScript
All
here.
right.
I think we've got some here just for the heat. Yeah, like so the custom JavaScript to change some data.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
That's really cool. I mean, playing a game in WeWeb, pretty amazing.
Yeah, that was fun. Wes, if you're ready, I will turn your camera back on. Hey, Blaise. You okay to come on live? Yeah. Cool. All right.
Okay, cool, right?
Nice.
The first time I was at the YouTube recording first, or the stream with you all on the side, and now I've got
just
yeah, it was like I'm on YouTube.
Awesome. Maybe do you want to share your screen directly and walk us through what you did?
Yeah, sure. Let me figure out how to do that here.
So just to present it a little bit, like you can share. So next to there should be a video icon and a mic icon, and there's a screen share icon next to it.
I've got the mic, the video, and then settings.
Okay, let me see if.
Oh wait, found it.
Found
I do minimize.
Nice, we can
You see
add
my
it.
screen?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah. So what I worked on, or what I was really curious to try to test my knowledge and work on, was a way to use the Dream Booth in Stable Diffusion, like in the cloud. So if some of those familiar, or some of those here are not familiar with that, basically it's a way to train like an AI model off of 15 to 25 of your own images, and then to like generate things using, let's say if I upload 20 images of myself, then I can tell it, generate a photo of Wes skiing in the Alps with a hot chocolate in his hand. So let's see if I can get in here. No.
You can do it with the credentials you created for me if you want.
I got mine.
Okay.
And so I did not focus on the design. I focused a lot on the technical aspect and seeing if this was actually possible. And so, yeah, I guess I can just walk you through how this works. First on the front end, and then maybe on the back end. So let me put you all aside too. Cool. So I walked the user through this a little bit, but basically after they get a credit, which I ended up integrating Stripe to be able to actually not just burn through a bunch of AI credits myself. I'll charge the user if they want to use it. We can then like create a new fine tune. So this is just like creating a new model, more or less. And I've already have a couple, but I'll just show you how this works. So let's just call this Wes's test for WeWeb stream.
Yeah, actually, I had a question about that because when I first reviewed the project, when I saw fine tune, I got really confused. So it's just like creating a model, basically. It's when you feed the images to create a model of a person.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not sure what like the best terminology would be, but that's exactly what it is. It's uploading your images, and then when you process it, we're sending it off to some GPU somewhere that trains it and returns a file that has all of the weights of the model. At that point, we're getting a little too technical for my understanding, but that's exactly what this is like creating that new tune file that will then reference later to generate the images. So in this case, we can call this Wes. So that's the actual word we'll be using when we want to generate the images. And the only other parameters I've configured right now is to optimize for faces. So I'll just like click yes, I want to optimize for faces, and say that I'm a man, and we can then create this fine tune. So you'll see this is the tune I've just created, the fine tune I've just created. It'll ask us to upload training data. And so you can go in here, and I already have quite a few images already. So for example, here's a list of just random images of me that I would feed the model. So we can just select all those, upload those. For each is not a function. Let's try that again. Maybe one at a time. I think I just switched something that now
I do that all the time before demos.
Right. Well, anyway, so here's the model where I've already uploaded the training data, and here's the the various pieces of training data. Again, just faces and photos of just me. And so once that has been completed, what I did is allowed the user to actually create the fine tune and train the fine tune. And this is where I'm using an outside service, and I can go into like the back end and show you how that works in a second. But what that does is it uploads all those images to this third-party service. It then triggers a tuning process or a training process, which lasts about an hour. And then after that hour, and when that's finally tuned, it sends a webhook back saying, "Hey, your model's ready to create images from." So
when I looked at your WeWeb project, I saw like you had Xano collections. So do you go through Xano to go through the AI, or do you send it to the AI and then the AI returns to Xano? And
exactly, yeah. So I'm going through Xano and then going to the API from Xano. So like the tough part here, or one of the tough parts technically, was that we require a lot of like asynchronous workflows, or a couple of asynchronous workflows. So for example, uploading images to this third-party service and then training the model and then waiting for that model to train, those all take time. And so what I do right now is that when I click upload images, that will upload directly to Xano. And then when I click train, that will just return to the end user like, "Yep, we're good. It's you're training now." But really in the back end, maybe this is the part where I can switch to showing the back end. What happens is the record gets marked as, can you see my?
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
So let me show you that example. So let's say uploading the photos. That's a pretty simple API endpoints. That would be here, not that one. It's like uploading training images. We're just we can submit an array of images or just a single image, and using Xano's features, we can configure that metadata, then upload that as a record in Xano. Now, the part where it gets complicated is when we want to begin that training. And so what we do there is the API endpoint from Xano's perspective is pretty or the WeWeb endpoint that, or the endpoint that WeWeb is interacting with is pretty simple. It's just, I'll show you. Start training. All we do is we get the record, make sure like the record belongs to those collection of images belong to the user, and then we edit it as like queued for training. So those records, then I have a task in Xano, which is like their cron job or their asynchronous functions, I guess. And what that does is that this goes through the database every, let's say, minute, and checks for all of those records where we've indicated that the training should start, but it hasn't yet started yet. And so let's say I just click, train, start training. This will then mark that record as, it should be processed by this function. And so this function then first marks all those tunes, this collection of images as in progress, so we don't later send another API call to this third-party service to begin training again, because it costs, let's say $5 every time. And then there's two different functions I've created within Xano. One is just a standard upload images function, which is this one here. This is pretty simple. The only thing that oh wait, let me look at this again. Okay, yeah. The only thing that was a little bit complicated here was that it was a little bit difficult trying to figure out how to upload photos through the API from Xano to this third-party API. I kept on running into errors, and it was due to just not creating this file resource correctly. And so this third-party API wouldn't understand what I was actually sending into it. So that took me a second to get, but then once I got that, I was able to upload the images fine. I just had to create this file resource and then reference the URL of that image in Xano when sending the API call. And feel free to interrupt me at any point as well.
I'm just going to interrupt you to say that Ray is saying super cool, Wes. I've also been playing with no code and AI, and also did a quickie for Dream Booth training. So you should connect.
Oh, sweet.
He'll message you on Twitter.
Sounds good. And so once this goes through all the images, uploads it to to that API. And earlier when we create that fine tune, there was another API call to this third-party service that basically just gave us a unique ID that we'd reference later when we were uploading images to tell it that all the images that we're uploading are for that new model. And then with that, so after it uploads all the images, that function then no, not that one. Here we go. That function then sends another API request to kick off the training. So that's a pretty simple API call. The only thing that I've customized here is whether the model is training for faces or not. And if it is, it'll send one API call with a parameter. Let's see, somewhere here. Go ahead.
In theory, I guess you could have had in your workflow in WeWeb. You could have had one action that uploads the images in Xano, and you could have had the API calls directly to the AI. Or was there a reason you wanted to have the API call through Xano? Oh, because you need to feed the URL. You need to feed the URL to the AI.
Oh, exactly. So in order to do it directly with the API, I would probably have to expose I would have to send images directly from WeWeb to the third-party service. But I wanted people to the goal for this is to make it easy for people to actually or eventually manage these fine tunes and these generative images, because right now these APIs are pretty unfriendly, and I've hard coded a lot of the logic here, but the goal is to, let's say in the next version, these variables that are currently hard coded, let the end user start playing with those to see how that would actually adjust the end result of the images. But I think
very cool.
Yeah, you could still probably do that. I just wouldn't have that users or as robust of a users functionality. Because that's all being
I think it's great. I was just curious about how you came to that decision. That makes a lot of sense.
And then let's see, we kick off the training, and again, I've hard coded a lot of these parameters, but these are things that the end user could play with, like epoch. I'm not even sure really what these are. That's kind of my next step, is to dive a little bit into these parameters. And then once the user does that, it'll say training now, please wait. And after it takes about an hour, that third-party service will send a webhook to Xano. Let's see. Yeah, it'll send a webhook. I'm storing both like the full body of the webhook, and then I'm just to be able to reference easier later. And then I'm also updating that fine tune record, saying, hey, it's done, it's complete, so that the end user knows they're ready to begin using it, as well as down here when we're actually selecting it, it's now in this list. Because if it's not done yet, we'll just run into a bunch of errors. So I want to make sure that the lists here are just those that are finished. So I'll show you what that looks like. So let's try it on one of my tunes, and yeah, I'll do the West skiing with hot chocolate in hand and see how that works. So yeah,
and actually, I thought you did a great job,
cool.
by the way, with that that little text. Make sure your prompt includes SK. I thought you did a great job. Like, it was clear to me that I needed to do that.
Oh, cool. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because that is something that there's a lot of these nuances that if the user doesn't do properly, they'll just get a bunch of errors.
Yeah.
So in this case, this model, what Joyce is referencing is that in order to tell the model we're referencing this particular thing that we've trained, we have to use that word we selected earlier, but then this string of characters, the SKS, just to be like, hey, this is the word that we're using.
And this is dynamic, right? Like, this changes
yes, exactly.
depending on what you.
Yeah. So if I switch that to Elvis, and then if I don't include Elvis, it's red. But then if I include Elvis, it'll be like, yeah, you're good. So let's try this out. Skiing in the Alps, hot chocolate in hand, ultra realistic photo. So there's a whole art and /science in prompt engineering. I haven't spent a ton of time with it, so we'll see what we get here. Ultra realistic photo. I think that's good.
I want to see the result already.
So
yesterday, I did Elvis on a jet ski in a futuristic photo. It was pretty cool.
So once we submitted that, what that actually does is in the back end, let's see, inferences, I think is what we called that table. We're creating a new record, sending the API request in like my own database in Xano of like that request, that prompt, and all the parameters that we've sent to this third-party service. Again, in the future, I'd love to start allowing the user to configure more of these, the things I'm currently hard coding. So for example, when you ask for an inference or like a generative image from that model, you have to tell it like a guidance scale. You have to tell it a couple of other things that I think I just left out and let them play with the default, or let them use the default. And so once I send them that, I'm now just waiting for a webhook response. So I've also included, a Xano API endpoint where I want that webhook response. And so once that response gets back, then it will be here. But because of this like asynchronous nature, I do have to refresh this. I think in the future, maybe I could play with what's it called, a web socket, so I didn't have to refresh it.
And we're working on the set interval action in the workflow, so you could have an interval to fetch your backend to know if it's ready.
So it looks like this is the image it generated. It looks like I'm not quite skiing, and I do have a hot chocolate in hand. It looks like I got the Alps okay.
Yeah, you got.
And again, like you have to spend a little bit of time to make sure these fees, like you get everything right. So let's see if I have any other funny images. Oh yeah, I tried to do like a photo of me eating Thanksgiving food and while transforming into a turkey, and it generated this, which like it's funky. But
It is very weird.
What this showed me is that this is all it's all possible. It's just
Joel
that
and Baudouin are enjoying it.
Sorry?
Joel and Baudouin are enjoying it.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Here's a fun one. Me winning the Olympics. It's kind of, I thought this was a little funny. So this is a little bit better quality.
That's amazing.
So,
Ray
but
is saying, yeah.
And so
Ray is saying that, sorry, I'm lagging a little bit. Ray is saying prompt engineering could be simplified by giving the user a bunch of drop downs for style, for example, and possibly adding a bunch of words on top of the user's prompt by default. Maybe something to think about. Oh, sorry, it's Ryan, not Ray. And yeah, maybe something to think about for.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that all those additions are actually much easier compared to this initial setup. So I think like that's definitely the next steps, because when I'm driving a Corvette, I'd like the Corvette to be in one piece and to actually function. I'm not sure if this thing will drive. But yeah, that's how this ends up, like this works. Again, like the most difficult part was probably the like the asynchronous nature of some of those, or like sending requests, waiting for the webhooks. But this service was much easier to use than another service. So I actually, we don't have to go into this all, but I wanted to try out a different API and different service and see how that would work. And so I created this other model, which is a little bit different, but it's a regular Stable Diffusion service where it's not person specific. It's more like, this is an old man fishing, joyful surprise. And like, it's just, the images look a little bit better. And this uses a different service where I'm paying for this, a cloud compute service. And what I did is I went on their GitHub. I looked at some of their repositories that they had, and I wanted the new Stable Diffusion 2.0. I forked that repo, and then I deployed it using this service. So this is like a cloud GPU renting service. So it's not like a ready for you API. You have to like deploy something from GitHub, and then you can use this service as like an API. And so, yeah, that one was a little bit difficult as well to configure in here, because there's a lot of issues with base 64 image decoding and encoding and knowing where to use those things in Xano's side. Yeah, but I wanted to try it out because it was a different API service. And if I use something like that, where I'm renting out cloud GPUs, I am no longer paying, how do I stop this? I'm no longer paying, let's say $5 or $10 per training and paying a fixed rate. I'm paying per hour of cloud compute time, which is like 90 cents. So instead of paying $5 to train a model, it's like 90 cents. So
that brings me to, I have two questions for you. The first is, can I share like the live project, or are you going to end up paying for if users?
You go for it. I did hook it up. I have to, like, if I get purchases, then I have to, like, I think buy a couple more credits because I don't have the integration between the two. But it works. And
cool.
Yeah.
Just add it to the chat. And another question I had for people, because you ended up doing quite a, something that are pretty advanced, especially on the Xano side of things. Can you tell people a little bit about your background? Because I know you've you're really building up your skills really fast. So I think that's interesting for people as well.
Yeah. So I come from a marketing growth background, working at small startups that were like 20 people large. And because of the small team size, I would always have to figure out how to use automations or just be a little bit scrappier in my work. And so since 16 or 17, I started using Airtable and Zapier. And then in like 2018, started using Integromat. And as I was using those services, I started, I think, just better understanding databases, how APIs worked as well. Because I'd always been a little bit adjacent to the technical components. Like I actually worked as a marketer at a API company. So I had to understand how the APIs worked a little bit. And so all of a sudden with Zapier, I'm like, oh, I can actually like use an API and it doesn't require a lot of complex configuration. And then back in 2020, I worked on my own startup, and at that time, there's a lot of Airtable front ends that were being released, and they were a little bit simpler. They weren't as versatile as WeWeb, but they would abstract things like user permissions, API calls, and so that helped me get an even, I think, better understanding of front end versus back end. And then earlier this year, when I discovered Xano and WeWeb, like I think I just that was another big step in my no-code journey, because I had to start learning about like how APIs actually worked, how authentication actually worked, what Airtable was abstracting and what these other front ends were abstracting versus like that they're not abstracted in WeWeb. So I have to like think a little bit more about how those models work. And so through WeWeb's community, Xano's community, and then there's another community called State Change, which is like experienced CTOs that understand no-code tools.
With the right deck, right?
Exactly. So like that community has been really helpful for me, because I'll get stuck because I don't understand what questions I should ask. And because they're familiar with no-code tools, their responses are incredibly insightful. And it's like, I think $50 or something like that per month. But for me, it's just more than worth it, because I'll spend 3 hours trying to figure out something and like ask Google or how something works. And Ray will be like, no, you're thinking about it wrong. Like, here's how you should be thinking about it. So now I still don't know any JavaScript really. Like sometimes I'll copy and paste some JavaScript for WeWeb. There's a client project that uses quite a bit of JavaScript. But that's where I'm at now. And so my full-time gig now is doing custom development with WeWeb and Xano.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I didn't realize that last step. I didn't know you had moved full time to WeWeb plus Xano. That's really cool, and I think really inspirational for because like you're a true no coder, like and you have that developer mindset, but like that building that programming mindset. So yeah, that's awesome. Well done.
I will say I used to be like an automation consultant. Now I'm like, I'd like to work with less clients and just more complex stuff. And so right now I'm working with one client. It's me and a couple of freelancers, and it's all WeWeb and Xano, and it's like a 25-person business. And they came from hiring Salesforce developers and spending way too much money and didn't get what they want. And now we've enrolled this or launched this platform, and there's already been thousands of users that have, I think thousands of users that have used it, and they have 12 full-time team members using their internal tool that's built on WeWeb. So it's just giving you ideas, Q. for maybe.
Nice.
Very, very cool.
Pretty cool.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for showing us this, and congrats on winning as well, because you had some tough competition. And actually, so I mentioned earlier I think Joel arrived a little bit later in the stream, but we had 2 winners for that category. You did pretty much everything full no code. I mean, there's a little bit of JavaScript, but it's like full no code basically. So well done. Oh, and Kevin Wazy is here. Nice. He's saying very awesome. I think you've met through the community as well. But yeah, very cool. It was awesome to have you on board.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm gonna jump off the camera here, I think.
You can stay if you want. We're just gonna go quickly. We'll just jump quickly. So we have like 7 minutes left, because I know Q has a meeting afterwards. We'll just jump quickly and basically kind of preview it, because Joel also won he won most technically challenging, but he used a lot of JavaScript, so we wanted another winner, full no code, and also most visually pleasing. I don't know if we'll have time to show the visual pleasing. I'll share the link to the live project in the chat. And yeah, so we'll show you quickly what it does, but on the 16th of December, Joel will actually be live streaming with us and showing us how he built it. So we can deep dive we'll deep dive in that project in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Do you want to show
And actually,
quickly?
this use AI too, because the product is like you generate images with OpenAI and then you can meet them on the Ethereum blockchain. So I found it really cool because every time you say AI or blockchain, I'm kind of triggered, I must say.
Yes.
And there's also like the MetaMask integration. That's really cool. Okay. So
and just so you know, so Joel is a developer. So that's why it's he defaulted to JS quite often, but at least
I don't have any if on my MetaMask, obviously.
Oh yeah, so for the project, Joel sent us some test ETH, but we have no idea how to access it.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I went on my MetaMask. I didn't find the test blockchain. I'm like being a noob here. But basically, yeah, that's too bad.
Oh, and Joel has to pop up. That's too bad because we could have used your help. But we'll tease you the live for a couple of weeks. It's basically what you do is you can generate NFTs, you can mint NFTs, and what you do is you have a prompt, you'll say in the style of Picasso or in the style of Andy Warhol, and then you'll give the NFT a title. And that way it'll generate with AI an NFT. And so then I think there's an automation where the NFT, I know nothing about NFTs and blockchain, so I'm butchering this probably, but in the video that Joel prepared for us when he submitted the project, basically the NFTs are in OpenSea. I think after minting them, it wouldn't make sense otherwise.
OpenSea is the biggest NFT marketplace. So you can find them once you've generated them.
Yeah,
you can find them on OpenSea.
So we have. Oh yeah, sorry, you just did that because I'm sharing the link in the chat. You can actually go and see what was minted thanks to Joel's project.
Okay.
In the chat. So Q, if you go back to the homepage of the WeWeb project.
Yeah.
You see view on OpenSea.
The secondary, view on OpenSea, yeah, obviously. Yeah. So they are here.
And they're here, and all of that is like.
This one is so cool.
Generated. They're all really. I really love them. So some are really gorgeous. And so all of those are like generated through AI based on like you choose a style and a title, and it generates a random
Banksy.
Nice. Yeah.
So it generated quite a few. What is this?
What is the style?
Style is Pablo Picasso.
This is awesome. Yeah, so I mean,
love AI.
Yeah, but honestly, it's some are absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, this one is Michelangelo and Frito. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, so Joe will be with us in a couple of weeks to walk us through everything. I think you can probably use.
I'm working in the workflows. There's quite a lot of JavaScript everywhere, but not surprised.
Yeah. He has he used global workflows, so that's interesting as well because Joel is a developer, and one of the things that developers tend to like in WeWeb, and he used them extensively, is like global workflows and reusable formulas, because that really follows like development best practices of writing your function and reusing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, he used a lot of JavaScript, but he did try to kind of use that that WeWeb interface and no-code workflows.
I mean, that works too, and you're still
Yeah,
earning time,
absolutely.
like on the design at least, because I know that some developers, I don't know if Joel is like this, but I know I'm like
He's
this.
a backend
I love
guy.
doing like the logic, but like the CSS, like whoa, this is so hard. I don't know for you,
if I remember
Wes,
correctly,
too, like
Joel
for the
is
design.
a backend.
I have one question about this project. I saw that the a tweet and like these images on the front page here were moving and they were kind of like rotating.
Yeah,
or just they were kind
I
of.
think so.
How does that work here?
Let me check. Like, is it
It's
a slider, basically?
Oh, it is a slider with just a built-in.
Yeah. And maybe this minted NFTs data is a collection. So every time you log in, or maybe you land on the page, the collection is changing. Yeah, because this is a REST API collection. And then the collection is just bound to the slider. So they will move. And also every time you come, the slider is being like fed data that comes from an API. So it will change also when you come back.
Is that a is there a setting there for the speed and things like that on that slider?
Yeah. You've got speed, slice per view, space between, effect transition. And it's actually the slider element in the. Is it in the UI kit? No, it's in elements. Yeah,
Gotcha.
image slider, like content slider, infinite slider. You've got like 3 of them.
This one is the infinite slider.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah.
Baudouin is asking if there's a way to integrate the management of those workflows and formulas with an external Git solution. I don't think so.
No, not yet, because you need to have access to code. Git is only code. This is a huge subject in the no-code space. I know there's even startups that want to bring kind of a Git workflows into no-code. But for us, what you have now, basically, if you go to publish settings, that since you have like the staging environment and the production one, you've got like backups and versions, so you can go back. But we don't have like the read Git workflow yet. But we have internally logs about what you've done on the project, and we're working on like making them available for the user, and on the medium term also to let you reverse some changes you would have done on your project. Because we do store everything you do as a change. So we could be able to say, hey, revert this. I don't know, you change the color of button, or you change a workflow. We would be able to revert this.
All right, awesome. I know you have a meeting afterwards, so we can stop it here. Thanks so much again, Wes, for joining us. Thanks to everyone who participated in the hackathon, to people who submitted projects. It was a lot of fun. We'll do it again. We're not sure when, because it actually takes more time than we had anticipated to organize it and review projects and all that. But it was a lot of fun and just so cool to see what goes through people's minds and what the ideas that you want to build. It was it was great. So thanks a lot for participating, everyone.
Thank you, guys. This was a lot of fun.
See you next week. Bye, Wes. Bye, Q.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.